Now, for the latest on the Time Warner Cable News Corp dispute that was on the minds of everyone in New York City over the last weekend, and of course Rupert Murdoch's role in that dispute, we're going to turn now to media reporter and author Sarah Ellison. Sarah left the Wall Street Journal at the end of 2007 to write the book War at the Wall Street Journal: Inside the Struggle to Control an American Business Empire. That book is due out in May. And thank you for joining us here on set, Sarah. Let's talk about how much of this final deal that was struck between News Corp and Time Warner Cable was a result of Rupert Murdoch, the master negotiator here.
Well, I think you can look at this as Rupert Murdoch bullying his way into a business model, and that's sort of classic Murdoch. He's done that many times in his career, and it has more heft when he sort of threatens to pull his programming from Time Warner Cable because people think he's a little bit of a live wire. Of course, he'll do it. So I think he had a big involvement in it.
Right. CBS cut a similar deal with Time Warner and Cablevision, and we didn't get a lot of headlines surrounding that.
Exactly. I was at News Corp, I guess it was sometime in October, and they were all sort of strategizing about who they were going to hire to make these ad campaigns that we've all been flooded with over the holidays. It was a big war of words, and it was very, very public. These negotiations happen all the time, and you don't always have this blanket of coverage and blanket war of words, and so that is where Murdoch comes in. He's sort of willing to say, well, we're going to just flood the airways, let everybody know that this is happening, and really use our muscle to force things through.
And get couch potatoes in the tri-state area to start panicking.
Terrify them that they're going to not have their football games, exactly.
Now, you say that News Corp overall is in complete crisis, and that kind of backdrop sets the scene for this face-off. Can you explain?
Well, this is not something that two companies coming from a position of strength would really do. News Corporation is undergoing the same kind of advertising crisis that a number of other media companies are undergoing. And Rupert Murdoch and Chase Carey have been pretty public about needing to get another revenue stream other than advertising for their products. So they're doing this with Fox. They're also doing this with all of their news properties. Murdoch has talked about pulling his content from Google, which incidentally is sort of the same kind of bluster that he's shown in this fight. He's not really going to want to pull his content from Google, but it's a very public thing. He's trying to get people to pay for their news content online, and so they want to get a subscription revenue stream in addition to an advertising revenue stream. And I think that that is something that they're doing to offset all of the advertising money that they've been losing.
What's interesting here is News Corp shares had been rising throughout December. To what extent is that a reflection of investors' confidence that Rupert Murdoch would win in his bullying the cable operators?
They didn't really have anything to lose in this. They weren't getting paid before for this content. So even if they got a little bit of money, they were going to win. And so I think that being very public about it had a positive effect on the company.
To what extent does this battle and what's happened show that a company like Comcast is perhaps going about it the right way, packaging content and distribution together?
Well, I think it puts that deal in a very interesting light now that we see the cable companies and the broadcasters fighting one another. Of course, Comcast just bought NBC Universal, and so they're going to be in a position of both being able to buy and sell this kind of content. And it also shows that content has some value, which is heartening to people who've just spent that kind of money on NBC.
Certainly. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Sarah Ellison, media reporter, former reporter at the Wall Street Journal.